A day. It's a story that was recently shared all over Facebook. A mother described what happened to her child when he experienced something called secondary drowning. Can this really happen? We brought in pediatrician Dr. Ahmad Bailony from Sharp Chula Vista to explain. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Is there such thing as secondary drowning?
There is such a thing as secondary drowning, or some people refer to it as dry drowning. Basically what it is when anytime you have trouble breathing, so whether that be in a pool from swallowing water or if you choked on a peanut, basically a few hours later, if you swallowed water into your lungs are going to obviously respond to that. So the point of the messages to parents is that if your child is in the pool and had an incident in the pool and they seem fine a few minutes after, you should probably just keep an eye on them for those next few hours to make sure they're okay. If they start acting funky in any way, if they start acting really tired, or if they start throwing up or coughing, then that's probably a good idea to take them to the emergency room and just get checked out. Okay,
so there is some truth to this, but we always associate it with an incident in a swimming pool. My child had a near drowning experience. They were underwater a little longer than they should have been. We got them out of water. We patted them on the back. They were fine. A couple of hours later, they started acting strangely.
Yeah, and again, this isn't the most common way of drowning. I mean, this is about 1 to 2% of cases that we see in the emergency room. The most common type of drowning is still just accidental drowning in a pool, so that's really what most parents you should still take the normal precautions when it comes to pool safety, but it is something to know.
Okay, so this is just something to keep in the back of your head. Again, let's talk about the symptoms of secondary drowning in case this should happen to you or your child. It may not be just in a pool. It could be happening in a bathtub a few hours later, or as the doctor even mentioned, they could have a choking incident on an object and still have these type of symptoms hours later. Again, what are the symptoms?
Right, so anytime you aspirate something into your lungs, you might show symptoms a few hours later. Those symptoms might be a cough. So if your kid had an incident in the pool and is later coughing, that might be something to keep an eye on. Anytime somebody starts acting differently, the problem when you have trouble in your lungs is your oxygenation to your body gets low, and when you start getting lower oxygen, just like when you're in higher altitude, you start behaving a little differently. And then just being tired. So a lot of times, especially with children, we tend to assume, oh, they had a long day out in the pool, and now they're going to go to sleep. So it's something you probably just want to keep a little bit closer eye on.
Okay, perfect. Let's also just talk about drowning in general. I mean, every year, unfortunately, there's always an incident of a child in a backyard pool that somehow got through the fence, or maybe there wasn't a fence. What warning do parents need to hear? Once again, just a good reminder.
Drowning is a very serious thing. The second leading cause of accidental death under 14 is drowning behind car accidents. And there's simple things you can do to, take safety against these things. Number one is obviously having a 4-sided fence. Some people only have like 3 sides to their fence at the pool. You want that fence to be at least 4 feet high, because otherwise your children are going to climb it. And then you want, when the pool is not being used, you don't want those toys around, because I'm sure you know kids, if they see toys out there, they're going to want to go out there. That's just how they think. And then as a parent, you want to do simple things like when your kid is in the pool, that's not the time to be checking Facebook. You want your eyes on them at all time. And then it's probably a good idea these days to learn CPR. Worst comes to worst, you want to be prepared. You don't want to just be able to call 911, and learning CPR is actually not that complicated a thing. It just takes a few minutes, actually.
It's a good reminder, and thank you for also reminding us about the use of Facebooking and social media while we're supposed to be watching our children. I've seen a couple of stories online recently about a child drowning in front of their parents because the parents were looking down at their phone, and I cannot think of anything worse that could possibly happen to a parent or a child. All right, Dr. Ahmad Bailony from Sharp Chula Vista, thanks for coming in. We do appreciate your expertise on this topic.